Hey friends, happy Thursday to you. I hope you're enjoying your spring break if you're having one right now. We are definitely in full swing of spring break, and it's been a nice break, even though I'm working regardless, but it's a nice break regardless. Oh, uh, sorry about that. Something just fell off the table. Okay, so anyways, let's get into this week's video. And this week's video is really close to home for me and really one that I really wanted to talk about for many reasons, but one of them being that I can really relate to it. Um, and that is reasons why you shouldn't be the only one putting your little one to sleep. This can apply to either parent, if they're the only one putting little ones to sleep. But for the most part, it's moms that are doing this, and a lot of that reason is because they're doing the feedings, um, usually breastfeeding. But of course, there are fathers who are the only caregiver for their child. And so I do want to say that I recognize that and I understand that. And kudos to all you parents who are doing that. Um, but in this one, I may refer to saying mom, but please understand that I'm not disregarding fathers either because I believe fathers are just as important and they do a lot as well. And like I said, sometimes they are the sole caregiver for their baby, and that is totally amazing and awesome as well. So it applies to both of you, although I may be saying mother more than I'm saying father, but that doesn't disregard them. Anyway, so let's get into this. So why shouldn't you be the only one putting your little one to sleep? Well, that may be self-explanatory to a lot of people, but when you're in that situation, it's really not that simple. Saying it is simple, but living it is not. Um, you get into a routine and you get into, you know, doing it all the time so that it just becomes second nature, and then it's kind of like you don't know how to do it differently, and you don't really do it differently. um just a little FYI for me, I'm still dealing with this with my son. I am still basically the only one who can put him to sleep, and a lot of that is actually my own fault. And that's because for one thing, right now I'm living on my own, so I'm basically the only one taking care of the kids right now, putting them to sleep and, you know, uh, doing schooling with them and just everything. But and putting them to sleep. So I put my son to sleep and then I put my older daughters to sleep. When I put my son to sleep, I'm used to being the only one doing it. So when I'm with my fiance and he wants to put my son to sleep, it's hard for me to do it. I don't know. It's so it's just so ingrained in what I am, what I've been doing and who I am, that I'm just used to that. And so when he has the chance to put him to sleep, I usually just jump on it and take that away from him. And that isn't what should be happening. There should be other caregivers putting my son to sleep as well. And I am working on it. I will say that I am working on it. And my fiance is putting him to sleep for naps and bedtime. He has actually done it a few times now. Well, more than a few times. So it is a work in process, like everything. And I'm happy to say that we are working on it, even if it's a slow process. But um, the the fact of whether it can go further is really dependent on me. So I just need to kind of let it go and I'll get there. My son will be fine as well. And so will your child as well, being put to sleep by someone else. They may be upset, but they will be okay. Um, so, what are the consequences of this? I can tell you for me that these consequences that I'm going to list off are very real and they do happen. And they're happening for me. And they've been happening for me for a very long time. So the first one that I want to talk about would be obviously is becoming burnt out. I mean, hi, that's me. I'm burnt out, and I am burnt out. and I do need a break. And that is my second point, is needing a break. So the consequences of being the only one putting your little one to sleep is you will start feeling burnt out. You will feel like you're so overwhelmed and exhausted. You're just so burnt out by doing this all the time and not having anyone else help you. Um, the second point would be that you do need a break. You're needing a break. You want one. That's also me. Not you might not be able to accomplish all your daily tasks because a lot of the time is spent putting your baby to sleep. This is especially true for little ones who aren't sleep trained. A lot of parents are in and out of the room constantly, or they're laying with their little one, and sometimes they even fall asleep with them. Which, hey, all the power to you if you want to take a take a nap during that time. But this means that a lot of things aren't getting done. A lot of parents leave a lot of their daily tasks to the end of the day when the kids are sleeping because that's the only time they have to get this stuff done. Um, and me, for example, like that's the time when I get my work stuff done and, other things. And when I'm the only one putting my kids to sleep, my son is goes to sleep easy now, but before it took a while. Sometimes it took an hour just to get him to sleep because I was sleep training him. He wasn't sleeping well. So you can't get all your stuff done that you need to get done. And that can be really important. You might want to have a date night or time to yourself, and that's just not possible right now. Especially date nights, like if you're the only one putting your child to sleep, you have to wait until they're asleep till you can go out. That could take until 9 o'clock at night. So you're not really having time to have time to yourself or to go on a date with your hubby. Um, you may not be able to be putting your older ones to sleep because that time is spent putting your baby to sleep. So you're putting your older ones to sleep very short in a very short period of time, and you're not really spending quality time with them during that. And I am definitely, that happens for me. I'm not a single parent. Obviously, I'm engaged, but I am living alone. And right now, until we get married, anyways, beyond the point. But because of that, I put my son to sleep, and then I had to get my older children to sleep, and then by that time I'm so tired and burnt out and exhausted. I just want to be alone, and I just want to be left alone, and I don't have time to spend with my older kids because I rush and get them to sleep, and then I'm like, oh, now I can finally sit down for a second. And sometimes even because you put your baby to sleep, maybe your husband or your spouse is putting your older kids to sleep, so they're taking on that role and you're not getting a part in it at all. And that's hard too. And the next thing I want to say is that you might be doing too much at one time. You might be feeling like everything is falling on you. um, Bedtime is falling on you, feeding them, everything is falling on you, and that can be super overwhelming. This can be especially prevalent for single parents because they're doing this all on their own. And it's hard, it is not easy. So what can we do about this? I mean, it's pretty simple. Start letting other people put your baby to sleep. And I know that saying that is a lot easier than actually doing it. Saying, okay, just put your little one to, just have someone else put your little one to sleep. It's so easy to say that, but it's so hard to actually put it into process and to actually do it. Like I was explaining before, for my son, it's me. I'm having trouble letting go of that, because I'm afraid that since I sleep trained him and I've gotten him to this place where he's sleeping so well, I'm afraid that if I don't keep up with being the one doing all this, that someone else coming in and doing it is going to ruin everything. He's going to be a horrible sleeper again. And he was a really bad sleeper. So like, I'm like really scared of that. But that is not always the case, and usually that doesn't happen. It's just a fear that I have, and I'm sure other parents have. They're afraid to, let someone else take over because they don't know what's going to happen if they do. But you have to start somewhere. So gradually let other caregivers put your little one to sleep. Start with your partner and start with bedtime, because naps are a little harder, and once your little one is used to your partner doing naps, then once they're used to bedtime being done, naps will kind of just fall into place because they're already used to it. So gradually, over a period of a week or two, have your partner start putting your little one to sleep for the night, doing the bedtime routine, getting them to sleep at night, and you can have no part of it. You have to be in another room or leave the house because then you won't be tempted to jump in. Um, and gradually over a week or two, have them do that to a point where they're doing it as much as you are. So have them doing it every day of the week for a couple weeks. And then after that is established, you guys can switch. One night you do it, the next night your partner does it. And so it's a thing that both of you are doing. Or you can do it however you'd like, but just having it evened out is best, because then you're spending time with your older kids than your partner is, and it's good to have it like spread out between both of you. And then once your little one is used to being put to bed, your partner can start on naps and start doing that, and naps should be pretty easy at the time, because they'll be so used to the bedtime routine that naps will just click. But you do want to start with bedtime because it's a lot easier than naps. And then after your baby is used to your partner putting them to sleep, you can gradually start getting other caregivers, such as grandma, grandpa, or a babysitter, whoever, maybe an older sibling, whoever you want, also putting them to sleep for whatever reason. Get them to gradually start doing the exact same thing that you did with your partner, and then they should be okay with that. One issue that I do want to talk about is for breastfeeding mothers. So this was me as well, and I was breastfeeding, and I just thought, it's easier if I just do it, because I got to breastfeed them and then I'm going to put them to sleep. And it's just easier if I just do the routine because I'm breastfeeding and it's just easier. But really, there are ways around this. You can pump, and you can freeze milk. So what you can do is you can do the first feed for the night. And just want to say here and add this really important is that when you do the feed with the bedtime routine, it should be near the beginning of the bedtime routine. Never have a feed at the end, because that actually establishes and makes stronger the feed to sleep association. So feed your baby not in their room, feed them in the living room, in a different room, not in their room. Feed them at the beginning of the bedtime routine, so by the end of it, your partner or someone else can put your little one to sleep. You can do that first initial feed and then get your partner to grab some milk from the freezer and feed them for the next feed in the middle of the night or whenever their next feed will be. So really passing off feedings to your partner can also help, so you're not the only one ever getting up and feeding the baby in the middle of the night or putting them back to sleep in the middle of the night. It gives them time to also bond with your partner during feeding as well. It's actually really awesome, and it's something that I never actually did, and I wish I would have. But to be fair, I couldn't pump. So, and for some other parents, that might be the case. If that's the case for you, that's okay. Just maybe you don't have to do that. It's just something that I do recommend. And what are the benefits to all of this? What are the benefits of, other people putting your little one to sleep? This would probably be the best part of the video. Who wants to hear the other parts? Everyone wants to hear the good part. So good parts of this will be you can get a break. You can get that much needed break that you need. You can get time to yourself, a night out with the girls or boys, and you can have a date nights because other people will be putting your little one to sleep. Um, your baby will get used to other people doing the bedtime routine with them. This is so important, because if they get used to that, then they know, and they're understanding that the bedtime routine can be done by anyone. It'll always be the same, and there's no surprises. So that can really be helpful to a little one. They still know what to expect, and they still know it's bedtime, and they still know everything that's going to happen, just with a different person, and they'll understand that that's okay. Your date night can start at a decent time before bedtime. So I do recommend a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. schedule, but some little ones, I understand, go to bed later. And so how can you have a date night, right? Like, and even a 7 o'clock one, like you're going to eat at 7 o'clock, you'd be starving by that time. So you can go out at 4 or 5 instead of waiting until your little one's in bed, because someone else can put your little one to sleep. Um, and it gives the baby the chance to bond with other caregivers, and that's so important, because they need to have bonds with so many people. It's good to have that, and it's very helpful to them and their development. So it's very good to do that for your little one. Um, and yeah, so I think that was probably all that I can cover for you today. This video is probably way over. I don't like going over 10 minutes, and I'm sure it's over. And just one last thing is remember that you are just as important as your baby, and you need time to yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself for you and for your little ones and your partner and everyone else that you love. So make sure to do this for yourself and your little one. It is beneficial to both of you. So I really, really recommend doing it. Allowing your little one to be put to bed by other caregivers. It can make date night, a night out, and vacations even without kids possible. So trust me, it's a good thing, and I highly recommend it. That's all I have for you today. I hope you guys have a good week, a good weekend, and if you're on spring break, I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.